Again, the LSU Regional is the 1-seed LSU against the 4-seed Stony Brook. That's coming up at 6 o'clock on Friday. And Southern Miss and Arizona State get things going. That will be a noon game on Friday between Southern Miss and Arizona State. And we're proud to welcome in a native son of the city of Shreveport who, oh, by the way, ended up being an All-Conference USA player and one of the All-Tournament team members and having a hell of a year so far. He's Bryant Bowen from Captain Shreve High School and now Southern Miss, getting ready to make his way to Baton Rouge in a couple of days for the regional. Bryant, how are you, sir?
Thanks for having me, Patrick. I'm doing well. How are you?
Man, I am fantastic. You know, before we get into this year and everything that's gone right this year, let's go back. Give me some idea of your recruitment out of Captain Shreve. You obviously had a big bat at Shreve, over 100 RBIs, all that stuff. Tell me about your recruitment and how you ultimately ended up at Southern Miss.
My first offer was from Northwestern State.
There you go. I'm the voice of the Demons.
There you go.
So there you go. Perfect.
That. And Coach Lane Burrows,
and
when Chris Curry was there, they offered me that. And I have a lot of respect for Coach Burrows. He's now at Louisiana Tech, which is fun because we get to play him 3 times a year. And then mostly just Southland Conference schools around the area, McNeese, Nichols. I could have gone to Eunice, and then late Southern Miss came on late, and I took my visit here, and I truly loved it, and I knew that's where I needed to be.
You had a pretty impressive explosion this year. I mean, you've always been a good hitter, but this year you've gone from, hey, you're kind of a spot starter. You started about half the games to now you're kind of an everyday starter.
Right.
And 340, 11 home runs, 49 runs driven in. I mean, what do you attribute the big surge from being a pretty good hitter to being an elite hitter?
I think just staying the course, because I'll be the first one to admit college baseball is not easy. There's days where you're at practice and you're kind of like, man, do I fit in? Do I belong here? But you have to go back and think about your roots, how you got here, playing at 8 a.m. as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid on a Sunday morning and with your family at travel ball. But at the same time, just staying that course and just believing who you are and believing in that. And, at the same time, these guys are here to help you become a better baseball player at the same time. And so they give you an approach. And really, I guess after being here for 4 years now, I finally just got the whole grasp of it, and it's molded me into a pretty decent college baseball player to this point, and I was able to make the most of it.
Well, look, you can call yourself a pretty decent college baseball player if you like, but
I'm sorry, you broken up.
I say you can call yourself a pretty decent baseball player if you like, but 50 games and a 340 average and 11 bombs and nearly 50 runs driven in. I mean, that doesn't lie. That's
right.
The thing. I'm curious. When did you feel like that this was going to be that kind of year for you? Was there a point where you said, you know what, I'm seeing the ball?
I would actually say the first day the 22-game hit streak started, to be completely honest with you. I think through, I guess that was the 4th weekend of the season, and I had 6 or 7 starts, which, like you said, is about every other day, half the games to that point. And we actually had an injury, and Coach Berry called me in the hotel breakfast and said, hey, I'm thinking about DHing you today. And I knew right then that was my opportunity to never look back and never come out of this lineup. And I thankfully went 3 for 3 with a homer and 5 RBIs at Louisiana Tech. And it was even more fitting that, just about my whole family was there, too, to get the start of it. And that was it. And the feeling I had walking away from the ballpark right there, I knew that I could be an impact for this team.
Tell me, give those of us that have never caught, don't understand catching. You're now an everyday DH, which is means you don't play defense. But how much of a relief and how much less stress is it on your body to not catch game in and game out?
It's a great amount of relief, to be completely honest. It's funny, a lot of the guys, Cole Donaldson and Matt Warner, are actually going to take ice baths right now, and I'm not in need of one, thankfully. But at the same time, there are days that it's much easier to hit as a catcher because you know that you can forget about at bat. You can go out there and you have a job to do with the pitcher, but there's sometimes when you don't have a great at bat, etc., or you missed out on an opportunity where you're walking down the dugout just pacing, thinking about it. But I've definitely learned how to have a short-term memory and just flush things. It's helped me deal with failure, even though there's been some great moments this year. And it's definitely been nice on the body. Going back to that question, I'm very pleased.
No doubt. I guess you have to be. I guess a DH is sort of like a DB, right? You have to have a short-term memory.
Exactly. You definitely do.
That's pretty amazing. All right, so for those folks who maybe don't know much about Southern Miss baseball, who haven't really followed you or the Eagles, they see, okay, Southern Miss is coming to Baton Rouge. Tell me about this Golden Eagle team. Tell the public at large what they're going to see when Southern Miss takes the field.
You're going to see a very experienced offense. You're going to see some good arms, some actually experienced starting pitching, and a very dominant bullpen. And I'll be the first to admit we don't have any just absolute flamethrowers in that bullpen, but they throw strikes and they're up to any challenge. But I'll go back to the offense and position players because that's really who I'm around the most, especially with being in the middle of the lineup. From top to bottom, you just got guys that hit for average, guys that hit for power. Obviously, people probably know more about Matt Warner when it comes to Southern Miss, who is an extremely talented baseball player. He's going to have a great professional career here starting in about 2 or 3 weeks whenever the draft is. And just experience. We've got a fifth-year guy in Hunter Slater, fourth-year junior like myself, and Matthew Guidry, who's just a grinder. And we've got some young guys at the bottom like Danny Lynch and Will McGillis and Hunter LeBlanc, but they're very mature freshmen who are coming along very quickly. And then so like I said, we have a lot of experience, but then a lot of youth. And what we've been doing well this year is finding a happy medium to get that experience to grab the youth and, find that medium to be successful.
Now, just looking at your stats, and you can glean a lot from stats. Sometimes they can fool you, but correct me if I'm wrong, Bryant. Talking to Bryant Bowen, designated hitter for Southern Miss, former Captain Shreve Gator, getting ready to go to Baton Rouge for the Baton Rouge Regional. But statistically, it appears your team is a more traditional, get someone on, blast a double or a home run to get them in. You don't run a whole heck of a lot. Doesn't feel like you put a lot of stuff on, not a lot of sack bunts, that kind of thing.
Right.
Is this more of a good pitching, and then we're going out and we're playing power baseball?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Go ahead.
Okay. You went out.
It's more of a pitching and a power hitter type approach.
Right. It's definitely. I'd say in my 4 year here, it's definitely been that way. Our hit and run is what we call our bunt. I think this year it's moved more to an actual sack bunt. But I remember my redshirt freshman year, my first playing year, we had 90 home runs as a team, which I think finished third in the country that year. Just big guys, and I'll be the first one to admit too that I'm your prototypical Southern Miss baseball player. I'm 5'11", 6 foot, 200 pounds, and we've got some guys that are up to 6'2", 6'3", 220 pounds. It's just obviously we're coming up with an offense in Arizona State that plays a lot like us. So I'm very excited for that matchup. But you're exactly right. Not a lot of sack bunting. We definitely don't steal a lot of bags. It's just not part of our game, because we trust our offense. And like I said, it goes back to that experience at the top of the lineup.
Hey, regardless, though, you got yourself a stolen base this year. That's all that matters.
I did. And it was a double steal, actually, and I was the trailing guy, so I got to cheat a little bit. First baseman wasn't holding me on. But I'll take it nonetheless.
You don't explain to anybody what it was. You just tell them, I was a straight steal of second. I was the only guy on.
One for one in my career.
Yeah.
One for one.
That's all you got to mention. Your run through the Conference USA tournament, Bryant, was pretty amazing. You needed 5 runs in the last 2 innings to get out of Game 1 against Rice. Then you kind of outslugged your second opponent. Then you get back to Rice in Florida Atlantic again, and you put up zeros, a combined no-hitter in the game against Rice, and then a shutout. Looking at your pitching staff, you've got some guys that can certainly get it done. A lot of sub-4 ERAs on that squad. Tell me about this pitching staff that these folks are going to see in Baton Rouge.
Like I said, this pitching staff is pretty much up to any challenge. I knew this fall that we were going to have an excellent bullpen. And I'll start off first with our Friday night guy, and Walker Powell. He's actually a double Tommy John guy, so he has been resilient in his career. and he made first team all conference. I think he has like a 2.75, something around there ERA. Just throws strikes, pitches to contact, finds a way to get it done. Stevie Powers is one of my very best friends. He has dealt with some injuries this year, but he's still out there giving us 5 to 6 innings to start. And then the surprise of the conference tournament was Gabe Shepard, who's a freshman. He's actually been up to 97 for us, so 7 1/3, no hit, 1 walk, 12 strikeouts. And that's actually, I told him after the game, I said, you've won us this tournament. And so you'll see a lot of him this weekend, I believe. He's gained a lot of trust in our coaching staff. And then out of the bullpen, we have guys like Bryant Bowen, Hunter Stanley, who's been my closer, and then J.C. Keys, who's got a power breaking balls up to 94. So just a good group of talented arms, but at the same time, they understand their roles, and they can get it done for us.
Tell me a little bit about the emotion of playing in Baton Rouge, because I've got to imagine, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but most kids that grow up in Louisiana playing baseball want to play for LSU or at
Absolutely.
LSU at some point in time. So give me the emotion of going to Baton Rouge for this regional.
I'm very excited. I'm thrilled. I actually said in an interview yesterday, I'm super thrilled, but just because, even dating back to just classmates in high school, go to school at LSU. But playing there, I've actually played with several of their players in like summer ball with Marucci, and coming up in high school like Josh Smith, one of my very good friends, Antoine Duplantis and Chris Reed. And so I think if we get a chance to play LSU, those emotions, just knowing the other guys on the other team, would be fun. But I'm excited to have family there. I'm excited to have friends that go to school there. Fortunate enough for me, I have played in Alex Box, so I'm not at so it's not as exciting for me, I guess it is for some of these guys that hear about LSU. So I know we're excited as a team, and I'm excited personally just because, I have friends and family there, and it's going to be a great opportunity to play elite baseball.
You said you played there. Was it midweek?
I played there in the summer in high school.
Oh, okay.
Just a little summer ball tournament.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you and your teammates, because I believe y'all haven't played, Southern Miss hadn't played LSU in like 5 years.
It's been I think 14 was last year.
So, look, atmosphere is atmosphere, and I know y'all are all veterans at tuning that out, but I got to imagine at some point you're just going to kind of take a look around and go, man, this is just a really cool experience.
Well, you have to, because you're exactly right. That's part of the experience, and no normal person, I guess, for our age can sit around and say, hey, I'm playing in front of 10,500 fanatics who love this university and who love this this school and love this team. And I'll definitely catch myself, especially being a DH, being in the dugout, to have more opportunity to look that way. But I'm excited about it. Last year we played in the Arkansas Regional, and those were some of the wildest fans too.
Yeah.
But they were very intelligent. They knew how the game worked, so that was cool. And so I'm excited to see how aggressive the LSU fans are from not being in the stands.
Talking to Bryant Bowen, DH for Southern Miss, getting ready to go to the Baton Rouge Regional. How many folks do you expect to have down there? Family, friends, whatnot? What kind of a section are you filling up with just your people?
I'll say this: if they're listening, I expect at least 30 to 40. So if you're planning on coming, please come. If not, I'll be a little disappointed. But that would be great. That range. I know tickets are hard to find, especially at a place like Baton Rouge, so that would be outstanding.
How many do you get on your list?
I get 2.
Okay.
So,
normally you get 4, right? At most,
usually
most
4,
regular season.
And I know most of the guys on the team are bringing at least 2 people, so tickets are going to come very, very scarce.
There's not going to be a lot of hey, are you bringing anybody? No, I don't have any tickets this week. All right, I'll use your 4. Like, there's none of that going on
exactly.
at the regional.
None of that. That's not happening.
That's beautiful. Bryant, man, it was a pleasure to talk to you. We're very proud of you coming out of the Port City and making a big name for yourself down at Southern Miss. And best of luck this weekend.
Thank you very much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
All right. Bryant Bowen, fantastic interview. Very nice. Good kid. Look, I have someone to pull for in the regional. I don't have a rooting interest in any of these regionals, but I'm pulling for Bryant Bowen. I hope, no matter what happens to Southern Miss, I hope that kid hits 800 with 5 bombs this weekend. Just a great interview. Good kid. I like it. And he's a local product.